Hey there, happy day 4 of the Live Thrive Challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with the secret that you have to use, the secret strategy in order to 10x the results of your challenge. Not only for the challenge as a whole, the results that you achieve in the challenge, but for all of the participants in your challenge as well. What the heck is this strategy? What is this thing I've got to do? Well, I call it, and I developed it over time, daily deliverables. When I first started doing challenges, I just did them for myself, right? I would have a challenge, I'd be stressed out in my business or something, and so I would give myself a 30-day challenge, or I had a health challenge, and I gave myself a 1-year challenge to exercise every day. Well, when I made myself a challenge to exercise every day, I automatically built in that I had to take action. I had to actually do the thing every day. The thing with a lot of challenges, and I learned this early on when I started sharing challenges with other people, that if I didn't have homework or assignments or expectations of other people, guess what? I got nothing. People always perform in the way that we expect them to. Now, you can already hear, oh, that's not true. That's not true. The truth is, if we expect great things from our kids, if we expect great things from our significant other, if we expect great things from ourselves and the people we interact with, we receive better results than if we expected to be treated poorly, if we expect our kids to have problems and challenges, if we expect bad things to happen to us. We get out of life exactly what we put into it. If we put into a goal or an objective or something that we say we want to do and we just try, or we give it a little bit of effort, what's the probability that we're going to succeed at that thing? What's the probability that we're going to get our goal? It's about 1%, 1 to maybe 5% if we try something. Because if, the stars align and everything is perfect, then we'll do what we set out to do and everything will fall into place and it will actually happen. That rarely, if ever, actually happens. So how can we rig the game in our favor? How can we set things up so that we can succeed, especially with our challenges? This applies to everything in our life, not just in our challenges. But we get out of things what we put into them. I remember lecturing my kids all the time, or talking to them about this all the time, this concept of you get what you get out of things what you put into them. You get out of school what you put into it. A lot of people can go through the education system, the public education system especially. They can get passing grades, they can do the minimum to get by, and they can pass and get out of school, get their diploma, and move on with their life. What do they get out of that? Very little, right? We get very, very little when we do the minimum to get by. When we put minimal effort in, we can get some results back, but they're not earth-shaking, awesome results, right? But the same is true of how much effort we put in. If we put 100% of ourselves in, if we go into something wholeheartedly, we're going to get that back, and then usually tenfold, because it encourages and it sets the example for other people to give back 100%. There's this big fallacy, and I think it contributes to the high divorce rate, which I heard it's now up to like, oh my God, I can't remember what it was, 67% or something. It's way over 50% now. And I think part of that is because we go into relationships thinking that I'll get 50% and you get 50%. We'll split the difference, or we'll meet in the middle. My ex-husband is a big negotiator that he says, oh, we'll always just split the difference. And I'm like, that's not how you negotiate, but that is how he negotiates. And that's why the results he gets out of negotiation situations are very different than the results I get. I don't believe in splitting the difference. I don't believe in, I'm more than willing to walk away if the deal isn't win-win for everybody. If everybody isn't winning, I don't want to make that deal. I don't want to be involved in that, because I am willing to give 100%, and I expect anyone I'm in business or association or partnership with to also give 100%. And guess what? We get way more than 200 or double the results, because synergy kicks in. And when I give 100% and someone else gives 100%, we now get tenfold the result, 10x the result, because that's the popular phrase. Thank you, Grant Cardone, these days. So we get 10x. We get 10 times the result that we would otherwise. So you get out of life and out of everything what you put into it. The same is true of our challenges. You want to give 100%, but you also expect the people participating to give 100% too, because that's how you end up getting the synergy of working together, and everybody wins and gets incredible results, and we create win-win situations and scenarios, right? So how do you do that? What is the trick? What is the strategy? What is the way to ensure that happens? Well, I learned something a long time ago. I was always, being a woman and a mom and having many businesses and having young kids and being married and all these other things, I was always a huge multitasker. I always had a gazillion things going. I've always had a ton of interests. I've always had a lot of stuff going on. And a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago now, one of my coaching students actually was a certified trainer for the one thing. And the one thing is all about focus and concentrated effort and doing the one thing that is going to help all of the other things that you have to do be easier, faster, more efficient, more effective, and run more smoothly. So I went from having a 400 item to-do list, literally, sometimes more, on a spreadsheet, because you can't keep a 400 item to-do list in a notebook, at least I can't, to picking one primary thing that I would do during the day. I had one goal, one objective, one primary thing I had to get done during the day. And here's the cool thing I discovered, that when I got that one thing done, which I usually got done way faster than I normally would, because I wasn't thinking about the 399 other things I wasn't getting done, I was just focusing on that one thing. And so now, instead of getting one thing done in a day, I do my one thing, and then as soon as I was done with my one thing, I would pick the next thing. What is my next most important thing to do? What is my next one thing that I'm going to focus on? And that actually revolutionized my results. I went from being chaotic and spread all over the place and spread way too thin and stressed out and freaked out all the time to somebody that was actually feeling happy and stress-free and in control of my life and my destiny. And that changed everything for me. So as I was starting to create challenges for other people and involving other people in my challenges, I said, okay, how do I use the whole understanding that if I do one little thing a day, it moves me really, really quickly to my goal. So just like with my overall challenge, purpose, strategy, and intent, and what result I'm going to give people, I begin with the end in mind. What's the result they want? How can I give them that in 5 days? Or how can I give them a big piece of that in 5 days? How can I give them the big domino, the big piece that if they get that, that will give them the hope and the understanding that they're capable of getting the whole thing. So how do I get them some success, a quick win, so that I can get them into momentum? And I realized that what I need to do is I need to do the same thing for each and every single day of the challenge. I have to have, beginning with the end in mind, what is the result? What is the daily deliverable? What is my promise for each day of the challenge? What is the promise I'm making? Well, the promise I'm making today is I'm going to teach you this strategy that will 10x your results. It'll 10x your personal results. It'll 10x your results in any challenge or problem. It will give you incredible success in areas that you never even realized that you wanted to do better in. So what you do is, just like the overall objective and the main promise, the main result you're going to help people get throughout your 5-day challenge or 10-day or 20 or 90 or whatever day challenge, your big promise, you're going to break that down for each day. And each and every single day, you're going to have a mini promise, a mini result that you're going to make sure that people get if they do what you tell them to, because you want to encourage them to take action. You want them to get engaged, because nothing happens until we actually take an action to move toward what we want. Zero, zip, nada. We can read 1,000 books. We can read 100,000 books. We can fill our brain. We can get 12 degrees. We can learn, and still be broke and never make, and unsuccessful, and never have any freedom and never create what we want in our life if we don't do something with all of the wisdom and all the knowledge and all of the things that we're learning, right? Nothing happens. So again, overall challenge, we have a result that we're promising people in the whatever period. I say 5 days because it's easy for this, in our 5-day challenge. Then for each day, we are going to have a daily deliverable. I call it an action item. And so each day, at the end of each day in my challenges, I give people an assignment, an action item. It might be something as simple as watching a video and commenting done, or watching a video and answering a question, answering a video and commenting in the comments below, because if I'm doing this on a social media platform like Facebook or Facebook Live or Facebook group, I will have people comment below, and they have to comment to specific thing. Number one, that means that they're actually participating and listening to the video, watching the video. I used to just do, hey, just comment done if you're done with this, or write yes or no or some word, but I would do the same thing all the time. I usually did done, and I realized that that wasn't very powerful, because once you go through social learning units and you do things on Facebook and other platforms, you realize that you can just put done, 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 or a smiley face or an emoji or something in every comment, and then that would count as you were participating. But you're really not participating. You might not even have watched a single video. So I started to change that up and test and try different things. So now, how do I decide what my action item is going to be? And of course, like anything else, it depends on the challenge that I'm doing, the unique situation, the daily promises. But instead of just having one big weekly promise, I break that, or one big overall challenge promise, I break that down then into individual daily parts. So how many ever days I'm going to have my challenge. And again, I've done all kinds of lengths of challenges. If it's a 90-day challenge, for each of 90 days, and of course, my notebook from that challenge is upstairs, I would write on a notebook paper, forgot to turn off my alarm again, I would write on a piece of notebook paper 1 through the number of days, and for each of those days, I would say, what's the result I want to get people? And then from that result, I ask myself, how do I ensure that they get that result? What do they have to do? What is the one thing? Because if you give them 6 things, especially if you're working with men, it's not going to happen. And I know I can hear people saying, oh, that's such a prejudiced remark. And I will tell you, I actually studied this. I studied men and women's brains when my kids were little, because I was noticing a pattern. I would ask my son to do 3 things, and he would say, yep, sure, mommy. He'd go away, and I would never see him again. I would ask my daughter to do 3 things, and she was 3 years younger than her brother. She would go off, she'd do all 3, and then she'd come back and report to me and say, oh, I did those, Mom, or whatever, right? And I started to notice this pattern. Now, both of my kids have learning challenges, meaning learning disabilities. They don't have learning disabilities. They both have ADHD, and my son also had, he doesn't anymore, but he did when he was younger. He had dysgraphia, dyslexia, all these things. And my daughter had some of that as well. And so they had learning differences. They learned differently, as I suspect I do, and I know my ex-husband did as well. So you've got 4 people in one family, all who learn differently and don't learn in the normal way like everybody else in the mainstream. And that makes for some really creative situations. But I noticed that there was just a difference between the way men think and women think. So I started researching it and looking into it. And of course I found men tend to be, and this isn't absolute because there's some crossover for everything, but men tend to be linear thinkers. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Women, on the other hand, have to multitask. If I swear this, if women couldn't multitask, these species would have ceased to exist centuries ago, because we have to be able to do more than one thing in order to keep our children and our offspring alive. It just is the nature of the beast. And as women have gotten more and more into business and technology and everything, and the world, gone out into the working world, it's just made that all the more important. So, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with this today? We are going to do exactly what we did with our overall challenge on day, might have been just yesterday. We are going to, no, it was day 1. What do you want? What result do you want to get for your, and then day 2, what result do you want to get for people? And so now day 4, we're going to break down, and let's say we're doing a 5-day challenge. Just even if you're doing a longer one, pick 5 days, or for extra credit, if you're doing a 21-day or 10-day or something, do 1 through 10. But write down, number 1, what is the result you're going to get people for that day? What is the result that you want to get them? And then what is the action or the homework that you're going to have them do to make sure that they actually do that? And it's not really about proving that they've done it as much as getting people involved and engaged in the process. And it's powerful for so many ways. That's why I like to do the homework and have people post it in a Facebook group or a whatever kind of group, because it builds momentum and status, and it encourages people to help one another out with the challenge. People see other people doing the homework, and then all of a sudden they start doing it too. I'm going to a new tack of, I don't really ask people to do Facebook Live videos because I think there's so much fear about that, unless it's a Facebook Live video challenge, which I was involved in a year-long one where we had to post every day, and if you didn't post a video on Facebook Live every day, or if you didn't get on Facebook Live in that group and do a video every single day, you got kicked out. So we started with lots of us. I can't even remember how many people started it, and we ended with like 7 of us at the end of the year. There was, including the person that led the challenge. He didn't do it every day either during the year, but it was his group and he started it, so he ended up in the group still. Obviously it's his group, but there were 7 of us that finished that. And you can do that. You can say, hey, you can do the challenge, and then if you don't do the homework assignment, you're out. You can use the homework assignment and people proving that they participated in order to give away prizes and things. That's a big thing now too as well. All right, that's it. Your homework for today is to comment below, what are your 5 days? Break down your challenge into 5, let's do 5 days. 5 days, you've got your overall, we shared those yesterday. What's your overall result you're gonna get for people? Just summarize. It doesn't have to be, you know, sexy worded up yet. And then for each of the days of your challenge, what is the step that you're going to take people through? What is the result that you're going to have them get for each of those individual days? That's it. If you have any questions about this, if you want any help with this, if you're struggling with this, if I wasn't clear about it, hit me up in the comments below and we'll work one-on-one to make sure that you're clear on exactly what we're looking for here. That's your action item. Go out, make it an awesome day, and if I can help in any way, hit me up. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow with day 5 of our Live Thrive Challenge. Bye.